From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
So let's talk some politics with two of the best. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys. That's his latest book, Progressively Worse. And the great Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor and Fox News contributor. Thank you, gentlemen, both of you. Joe Concha, it was Jeff Bezos who pulled the editorial from WAPO. So the libs are running away from her. They're running for the hills. They can't get away from her fast enough. Hang on. L.A. Times, nope, no endorsement there. And my favorite one, Joe, is the Minneapolis Star-Tribune, which some people call the Red Star Tribune. They wouldn't endorse their own governor who was on the ticket for vice president. What does this tell you, Joe Concha?
I think they have an endorsement problem, Larry. I mean, look at the Washington Post. You got to go all the way back to 1988, the last time they wouldn't endorse a candidate. That was George H.W. Bush versus Michael Dukakis. H.W. Bush obviously won 40 states, pretty much a landslide in 88. But also, on top of that, the L.A. Times, which is Kamala's basically home state paper, largest paper in California. And then you mentioned Minnesota with Tim Walz, the goofy 80s sitcom dad who they can't even stomach, apparently. So this is all going in the wrong direction because it's not just the newspapers, guys. It's also the Teamsters would not endorse her. These are layups for Democrats. You're supposed to get you bank these. You automatically think we're getting the Teamsters, we're getting the Firefighters Union, and the Arab American PAC as well. Big in Michigan, they wouldn't endorse her. So it's all going completely in the wrong direction, guys. And you look at the last three national polls. Trump is tied in New York Times Siena, tied in CNN, tied in Emerson. Now remember, CNN had Biden plus 12 on Election Day. The New York Times had Biden plus 9 on Election Day. Emerson, Biden plus 5. So if he's tied, given the history of Donald Trump always being underweight in these situations, he is looking at an electoral landslide if this holds right now, and it looks like it will.
Charlie Hurt, I am, by the way, thanks for helping us. Charlie Hurt, listen, I'm arguing now that Trump is the cool candidate. He's the cool candidate, okay? And I'm arguing that it's cool to vote for Trump, right? Because in 2016 and 2020, you didn't want to tell anybody you were voting for Trump because he wasn't cool or he wasn't perceived as cool. Now, I look around at the stuff Joe Concha was saying and stuff that we've talked about. Trump in the popularity, the preferential, he's over 50. Charlie, when he won in 2016, as you may know, Trump had a favorable rating of 36. Okay, Gallup has him at 52. The Wall Street Journal has him at 50. Kamala's underwater. Trump is the cool candidate. He goes to barbershops. He gives you extra salt on the McDonald's fries. He cracks jokes at the Al Smith dinner. He's going to show up and outdraw the Knicks and Rangers at the Madison Square Garden on Sunday. You know, those guys, he'll have 10 times the subscription. He goes on Joe Rogan and talks to 15 million people. You see what I'm saying? Trump's the cool guy. It's a complete change.
Yeah, he spent 3 hours on the radio with Joe Rogan last night, and I loved that was one of the observations that Joe Rogan made. And Joe Rogan is no, like, political partisan by any measure, but he was like, look, you know, it's amazing. Republicans are the cool ones. If you're a kid in high school and you want to be a rebel, you're a Republican. You're a conservative.
Rogan said that? He called it cool?
Yeah,
That's what I said on the TV show yesterday we were talking. Yes.
I think he stole it from
I'm telling I haven't heard anybody else say that Trump's cool.
Joe Rogan knows who cool is, and it's Larry Kudlow. And he's like, he wants to be like Larry. But it is true. And then you take it a step further, and you know, who are the people that want to silence people? Who is it that wants to shut down disagreement? It's the left these days. And the most important part about, you know, rebels, especially if you're like a kid growing up and you're a teenager, is, you know, you're challenging authority and you're trying to sort of kind of feel your way through things, and so you have to stand up to your parents or whatever. You rebel, and the left those are the people who are crushing the individual spirit today. It's not people like Donald Trump and Joe Rogan or Larry Kudlow.
How, by the way, parenthetically, how was that interview? I was watching the World Series. I'm a big Yankee fan, even though they blew it in the 10th. I had one ear on my cell phone trying to listen to Joe Rogan. I heard maybe the first 20 minutes. How was the interview? I mean, was it pleasant, plus, minus? How do you rate the interview, Charlie?
It was spectacular. And I'll say this, that going into it, I kind of was worried because I don't think Donald Trump is necessarily going to reach a particularly new audience by doing this. And so I kind of, want him to play it safe. But Donald Trump never plays it safe. He always plays to win. He wants every situation to count for something. And so he took the opportunity. He went out there, and it was truly spectacular. And I bet he did actually move the needle a little bit with maybe some people who would ordinarily support him, but don't necessarily listen to him because they're Joe Rogan listeners, and they love their country and they love freedom, and they got very. There was nothing. It was a great morale booster for people who are very frustrated with the direction the country is going in. Right?
I think it's just more evidence that Trump is cool. Joe Concha, did you listen to Joe Rogan? And Joe, I want to ask you also because I didn't see it. Did you listen? I heard the CNN the CNN town hall was another bust for her, but I didn't see it. What'd you say? I don't know if you had anything with it.
Did you remember that scene, Larry, in The Fugitive with Harrison Ford, where they're taking Ford to prison, and then suddenly, basically a fight breaks out on the bus. The bus eventually crashes, and then Harrison Ford has to get off the bus, and then a train crashes into the bus. That was the town hall for Kamala Harris. Okay, it was like a bus and a train wreck, which is really hard to do. Yes. Let's put it this way. David Axelrod, okay?
Yeah.
Basically is the Obama mouthpiece, right? Senior advisor, but I think he's a straight shooter. I'll listen to Axelrod because I think it does.
He's smart. He's a smart guy.
He is smart.
He's smart, and he whipped us twice, so whatever.
I was about to say he won 2 elections quite easily. Yep. Now, all of that said, he even used the word salad to describe Kamala Harris, as did Van Jones. The CNN panel destroyed her for that. So I think that's the last of the town halls that we'll be seeing with Ms. Harris. But I got to go back to something, Larry. Are you saying it was a bad idea for the Yankees to take a pitcher who hadn't pitched in a month and Freeman?
I was a little surprised myself. I was saying, really? Oh, my God. It was.
I have witnesses. I'm not even a Yankee fan. I was just screaming at the TV. I go, what is he doing?
It was Heartbreak Hotel. But I got to give him. Look, they got this far. I didn't really think now we're talking baseball, which I love to do. Sorry. I didn't think the Yanks would get this far, and they have. So Aaron Boone's a manager. It looks like he didn't get this one, but it's a 7-game World Series, so we'll see what it goes.
And I don't want to get myself into trouble here because I know that I know what a Yankees fan you are. I have to say one thing about Freddie Freeman, though.
Yeah.
That guy, and I think one of the announcers noted this, as the ball was still traveling through the air, that guy just lived out every boy's childhood dream.
Right.
Got you.
Right. Gotcha.
Bottom of the 10th.
Yes.
Down by 1.
He just crushed it, too. He absolutely
crushed it.
And he's injured. He has trouble walking, his ankles and all that, and he just crushed it. Yeah, well, Aaron Boone
That's the nice thing about a Grand Slam home run is you don't have to run that hard around the bases.
I could see Trump, making a little home run trot slowly around the bases, kind of like Giancarlo Stanton, who had a pretty good shot too. But you see, I come back to this thing. Trump is cool. I don't want to be too repetitive, but he'll go on Joe Rogan. He's fearless, and I did listen to part of it. They were talking about his days, on television for The Apprentice. You're Fired, which was a hot show, primetime show, #1 rated show. They were talking about that. That kind of experience just utterly eludes Kamala Harris. I mean, she has no experience like that. And when he goes to the barbershop, he's not worried what they'll say to him, right? It's live TV. It's not on tape. It's live TV. So if some guy walks in and starts screaming at Trump, he'd have to deal with that, but it never seems to happen, right? The same thing is true with the McDonald's. I mean, somebody could have pulled up. Now, I know they handpick the customers, but you never know what the staff might say. He's doing this.
not only did they handpick them, they went through their cars to make sure it wasn't a security threat.
Well, yes.
I don't know. How is that a surprise? How is that? It amazes me that all these people were trying to make a big deal out of that. Of course, he's running for president. He's surrounded by Secret Service. He's been. They've had 2 assassination attempts on him. Of course, they're going to go through.
Yes.
Go through the line. That's the whole point.
Yeah, but you could have had. One of the people. Inside the McDee's could have said something about him obnoxious that would have been live taped. He's just not afraid to do that. She's afraid of her own shadow, and people have figured that out. You look at his face. He's having fun. I mean, really, he's the cool kid. You look at her face, she's in pain. She's desperate.
Voters have excellent BS detectors. And they know when a guy like Trump, he knows who he is and he knows what he believes. She doesn't know who she is or what she believes. That's why everything comes out as just word salad all the time. The other thing that is very cool about Trump right now is that these sort of cultural references. And, of course, he comes from the cultural background. And which is why the left hates him so much, is because he is, Andrew Breitbart used to say that politics is downstream from culture. Well, Donald Trump is culture.
Right.
He has been culture his entire life, all of our entire adult lives. He's been part of the culture. And the other thing that I thought was really interesting is the Elon Musk thing. Elon Musk is campaigning for him. And I don't know if you caught this reference because I don't know how much I wouldn't have known this movie except for my kids. But John Fetterman in Pennsylvania blew the whistle a week or so ago for Democrats to pay attention and said that you've got Elon Musk, who most voters think of as Tony Stark, who is and of course I can't remember the name of the movies, but he's he's the famous Marvel superstar in one of these big movies who has all the gadgets and can do all this stuff. Iron Man, that's it. And the fact that even John Fetterman recognizes sort of this cultural moment where Donald Trump, the guy running against them, who's portrayed as this evil Hitler, is actually the cool guy that has the sort of cultural has stolen the cultural high ground. It's amazing.
And Joe Concha, that's an important point. Now let's talk Elon. Trump's a cool kid now. Elon Musk has always been the super ultra cool kid, right? Totally cool. Elon's rewritten the books about cool. Now he's backing Trump, hook, line, and sinker. John Fetterman, who has interesting insights from time to time, sees the danger. They're going to carry Pennsylvania, Joe. And Dave McCormick, who just got the firefighters thing in Philadelphia, he's going to beat Bob Casey Jr. It's going to happen. But anyway, Elon Musk makes Trump even more cool. He's totally cool. I mean, this is the Trump factor. The Musk factor is gigantic here.
I'm thinking when you have a company named SpaceX, that's cool, right? You revolutionize the electric car, that's cool. And look at the people that surround Trump on the campaign trail, right? It's not your typical establishment Republicans. It's Elon Musk. It's Tulsi Gabbard, who only ran for president as a Democrat in 2020. It's Robert F. Kennedy Jr., a Kennedy endorsing a Trump. It's amazing. And then who does Kamala Harris have with her on the campaign trail? Liz Cheney, who it is literally impossible to smile when you're in the same room with Liz Cheney. Right?
Who is Liz Cheney? Does anyone even know who Liz Cheney is? And if you know her, then you know that her father invaded Iraq and there were no missiles. I mean, really? Liz Cheney? How stupid is that? How stupid is that?
And
I'm sorry.
Charlie, who's he going to bring out next? Charlie Crist? Charlie Crist going to go on the campaign?
I love that. That was Joe Concha's hit on our TV show the other night. He brought up Charlie Crist. And we ended the segment a minute early because everybody was laughing so hard. We couldn't say anything else.
Worth repeating. You got to go to break, though, Larry.
No, I have to go to break. It made my time management, which is otherwise terrible, made me look much better because we stopped talking and everyone was like, Charlie Crist and Liz Cheney. Maybe they can go hold hands and do a town hall with her. Who's Liz Cheney? I mean, honestly, is that the best you're going to do? We got to get a quick break and we'll come right back. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. Joe's book, Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys. And Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, Fox News contributor. I'm Kudlow. Stay with us.
Larry Kudlow. From Wall Street to the White House, this is the Larry Kudlow Show.
Welcome back, folks. We're talking politics with two of the best. Joe Concha, Fox News contributor. Joe's new book, Progressively Worse, Why Today's Democrats Ain't Your Daddy's Donkeys. And Charlie Hurt, Washington Times opinion editor, Fox News contributor. Fellas, I want to talk about a new category in American politics. It's called Democrats for Hitler. All right, Democrats for the Fuhrer.
Oh, boy.
All right. Now, what I'm saying here is that right on schedule, the last 2 or 3 weeks of the campaign, Kamala Harris and the Democrats start calling Trump and any Republican Hitler, fascist, whatever. That's what they do. They do it every time. There's nothing new here. And, of course, they've called Trump every name in the book, and his popularity goes up, not down. But what interests me so much is there's a whole bunch of Democrats who are running ads, positive, favorable ads, with Donald Trump in the ad. Okay? And I'm going to read it again. Sherrod Brown in Ohio, Bob Casey in Pennsylvania, Tammy Baldwin in Wisconsin, Alyssa Slotkin in Michigan, John Tester in Montana. There may be more for all I know. But they're running ads with Donald Trump in the ad, and it's positive ads, right? The liberals are running from the hills here. They're going as far away from Kamala Harris as they can. So I'm just saying, obviously, these Democrats are for Hitler because they like Trump. And so therefore, or maybe I'm wrong, and they're just totally ignoring Kamala Harris. All right, how's that? And they're running away from her, just like the Washington Post, the Los Angeles Times, the Minneapolis Red Star Tribune. What do you think about that, Charlie Hurt? Democrats for Hitler. I love this. A new thing. All right. That's a little too hard. We'll call it Democrats for the Fuhrer.
I think that it's two sides of the same coin. Obviously, they are running away from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris because they can't because their records are indefensible. But I don't think that there's no exaggeration here. You know, when you're a reporter, what do? If you want to be as fair as you can to somebody, you let them define things. You use their definition and then lay out the facts based on their definition. Their definition is that Donald Trump is Hitler. Their definition of winning for those Sherrod Brown and Bob Casey and those candidates is that they have to embrace Donald Trump. And the other thing that I think is this is not just a staging thing that is embarrassing. This is a very real thing. When it comes to actually accomplishing something that these candidates, Democrats, want to point to, who do they have to invoke in order to demonstrate that they have accomplished something in Washington that matters to their voters? Donald Trump. They can't find anything in the Biden or Harris agenda that matters to their voters that they can point to and embrace Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
It's interesting.
And that, to me, is devastating.
It's mostly – you're right, man. That's a great point. It's mostly about trade, and protecting American businesses. They're lining up with Trump. Now, I want to say, as I said in my opening, the use of Adolf Hitler or the Fuhrer is despicable, utterly despicable. All right, talking about the Holocaust survivors, and it's horrible. But that's what Democrats do. Joe Concha, this is nothing new. They do this all the time. They've called probably every recent Republican presidential candidate Hitler, Fuhrer, fascist, whatever. So it's despicable. But on the other hand, what I'm saying is half the Democratic Party's running away from her, Joe Concha, because she has no – and they don't want to be part of a third Biden-Harris administration. That's one of the underpinnings of this whole race, Joe Concha.
Yeah, it's huge, especially in those states that you just talked about. In Pennsylvania, you have Bob Casey basically running ads, bear-hugging Trump. I mean, that's quite
right.
the turn, right? And overall, this is why Donald Trump has to win, Republicans have to win, because if they don't, then all this behavior, this whole fascist narrative, it gets justified. Remember Harry Reid when he said that Mitt Romney never paid taxes for 10 years?
Yes.
And then after the election, somebody asked him about that. Hey, by the way, you were lying about that, right? And Reid said, well, he didn't win, did he?
Yes.
So that's the thing. They'll lie to get in the office, but it's not working, Larry. It's backfiring.
Fellas, thank you ever so much. Really great. Joe Concha, Charlie Hurt, terrific stuff. Folks, we'll take a break. The other side of the break, we're going to look at the Israeli attack on Iran. We're going to look at the economic story. I'm Kudlow. Please stick around. Plenty more to do.